In the body kingdom, there are two big cities called the central nervous system (CNS) and the peripheral nervous system (PNS). These cities are divided into many smaller regions, but we will just focus on the Glia's regions for now. Citizens from these regions don't conduct nerve impulses, but they have a very close relationship with their neighbors, which are called neurons. Unlike specialized neurons, Glias can reproduce throughout cell life. Let's find out the Glia's regions of each city, shall we? We will start first with the PNS city. First of all are the guys from satellite cells. They are usually small in size, but their nuclei are relatively large with the largest volume of cytoplasm, and they are quite difficult to see under the microscope. So yup, you can't see them around easily. But there is a tip for you. You can find them in the ganglia. About their function, they supply nutrients to the surrounding of the neurons, and they also have some structural function too. Next are the guys from Schwann cells. They wrap their cells around only one axon, but they can fuse with branches of neurons to form myelinated and unmyelinated fibers. Cool, isn't it? That's enough about the PNS city. Let's move on with the CNS city. First of all are the citizens of oligodendrocytes. They are quite small and their nuclei are round and dark. What's special about them? Well, they can extend to unsheath multiple axons, up to 50. Can you believe it? About their function, they produce insulation for the electrical signals of the neurons inside the CNS. Next are the guys from ependymal cells. They form the lining of the ventricular system. Moving on, we will introduce the guys from microglias. They are the phagocytes of the brain, which is the most important region in their city. They modulate plasticity by eating dendritic spines. However, our weakness is that if they become overactive, they may cause maternal infection during gestation, which leads to severe mental illnesses in the child. Pretty sad, right? Last but not least, they are the people of astrocytes. Their body ramifies to form many cytoplasmic branches. They are very useful actually. Do you wonder why? Well, it's because their job is providing metabolic and structural support for their cities, CNS, as well as balancing ion and fluid levels in the brain. Sometimes they are quite stressful thinking that they have to fulfill these important roles every day, but still they are really happy to do so. Little do we know that on a gloomy day, this peaceful kingdom was invaded by their enemies, which were called Glioblastoma. Among their allies, astrocytoma, glioblastoma were the most aggressive and malignant ones. Why do we know that? Well, because they progressed rapidly and their victims were usually given a poor prognosis. If they are not detected early and treated properly, they will cause you complicated and unpredictable problems as well as reduce your survival rate. That's just really dangerous. Other facts about them are that they like to attack all kingdoms aged from 40 to 70, and out of 100,000 kingdoms in the world, they would choose to attack 2 to 3 kingdoms. Pretty weird, right? And yes, this applies to our beloved body kingdom too. These bad guys blended in specifically with the citizens of astrocytes, turned them into their sidekicks, and then attacked mainly in the 2 hemispheres of the brain, especially in the frontal and temporal lobes. However, the king and the generals did not know about this problem until they heard from their citizens at the kingdom meeting. A lot of them complained that they had constant headaches, diplopia or blurred vision, vomit, not eating well, changes in emotions and temperament, changes in the ability to think and learn, seizures. Seeing that, the king told the generals to go to the hospital, the kingdom's close ally, to know what is going on based on the aforementioned symptoms. When they arrived at the hospital for a diagnosis, the brain region was scanned with modern and advanced techniques. The hospital citizens were actually very clever, and the body kingdom was really impressed with how they made use of their implements, which they called by a different name, diagnostic tools. Thanks to these tools, the body kingdom could find out many interesting things about the tumor, which was the military base of glioblastoma. Their tools included computed tomography, CT scan, functional magnetic resonance imaging or MRI, magnetic resonance spectroscopy or MRS, and positron emission tomography or PET. CT scan and MRI were used to help guide the neurobiologist's instruments to the site of the tumor and remove it. On the other hand, MRS and PET were used to examine the chemical composition of the tumor and detect tumor recurrence, respectively. Unfortunately, the bad news for the body kingdom was that glioblastoma was a really strong army, which has been mentioned before. Even if the tumor is destroyed, the risk of recurrence is still very high because their stem cells, their minions, which are called GSCs, hide in nearby regions, making the glioblastoma extremely hard to get rid of. Fortunately, the hospital had an idea. They suggested treating the body kingdom in the following order: surgery, radiation therapy, then chemotherapy. After the treatment, the body kingdom had thrived again and temporarily won glioblastoma. However, it was heard that the glioblastoma was planning to attack them in 14.5 months, and this attack could be very merciless and could massacre all the kingdom's citizens. Upon hearing this, everyone was really worried, but they quickly regained their composure and decided to collaborate again with the hospital kingdom. Shortly after, they developed a Zika virus vaccine, which appeared to help target and kill glioblastoma stem cells, GSCs. This was a very important discovery and could be a new treatment option to get rid of glioblastoma. Nevertheless, nothing was so sure, so they continued to work tirelessly to find other viable treatments. What happens later then? We don't know for now, but hopefully, the body kingdom can have a bright future ahead of them without the presence of glioblastoma.